was shot right here in Santa Rosa and in Sebastopol.
I love that
Rosa
their
Mall.
farmhouse in Sebastopol. You can see all the 2x4s holding up the boughs. Are full
I
of
found it impossible to concentrate on this movie for the first hour.
So, yep,
Impossible.
right.
because of the locations.
I just was rubbernecking all the
I mean, same here. It's
Same.
like you want to look around the corner and see what's going on. That's like a nice
Same.
turn of the century farmhouse, isn't it?
It is? That's in
Yeah.
Sebastopol?
Yeah, Sebastopol. Yeah.
Okay.
I had to
Because
see-
I mean the geometry is the geography or whatever you call it is completely fouled up. It's like she goes out with her friends and she ends up driving across the Richmond Bridge.
They were.
Yeah,
they slept
no,
at a
it's
beach
all
in
messed
Richmond.
up.
Yeah,
It's all messed up.
Yeah, where they by the oil refinery in Richmond, laying on the beach.
Yeah.
But that is Sebastopol because those were apple orchards, I believe.
yeah.
on that property.
Yeah.
Right.
And then,
I mean,
but
she's
then,
off River Road at one point. I saw the street sign.
yeah, and,
Gurnville Road. I saw Gurnville Road.
Yeah, that too.
and of course, both malls, big time Santa Rosa Plaza, and then
Well, it was Santa Rosa Plaza and Cottingtown, I guess.
Cottingtown.
Oh, okay.
Because-
Is that
'cause
still
wait a minute.
is that still a thing?
Yeah,
Not really.
Pennies.
I mean, well,
Pennies
it
was
had
at
it had a
Cottingtown, right?
decline. I think it's coming back, right?
yeah.
But
Cottingtown
Pennies
is
was
coming back
Cottingtown.
because
Pennies was Cottingtown. Mervin's was Santa
Right.
Rosa Mall.
Oh,
That's
the
correct.
giant Mervyn singing nostalgia. It's like,
Yeah.
oh man.
the
It's all about
Cottingtown is
Simon
coming
Mervyn's.
back because they put it's got the Whole Foods now and a Target, so it's like, it's
Yeah, I just
Yeah, it has kind of rebounded a little bit.
Well,
It's
yeah.
still kind of deserted
Yeah, talking about
inside.
geography,
I'm almost
you know,
embarrassed to say how much time I spent at the Santa Rosa Mall in '83, and just seeing that thing again, gleaming, packed with people, like
It's
it's
so weird.
supposed to be, as opposed to the place
And-
to avoid now.
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's terrible now. But I wasn't here then. Obviously, I didn't grow up here. But
Yeah.
they
you got a
did
mall in
keep
Red-
it.
You're getting them all in Red Bluff, right?
But it was cool that there's no mall there. But it was
Oh,
cool
wow.
that kid that they met. She's like, "Where are you from?" He's all Kenwood, and I was like,
Yeah.
they're keeping it fucking real here, dude."
They were totally.
That's kind of
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Then, so there's the first hour where I'm just like, I can't. I mean, I know that this is like performances seem really good. I like all the people
get to know the cute girl.
Then fucking Treat Williams shows up, and I was reminded why I've only watched this movie once. And it's not that it's a bad performance. It's just I find the whole turn that this movie takes so repellent that, and I know it for its day, it was fairly progressive in even talking about it. And I knew girls like this. I mean, Sandy and I talked about it. I mean, she's only watched it because, like, for her, she really knew girls like this who were victimized by older men, basically. And she's like, yeah, a little too realistic. No, thank you.
And there's
Yeah.
probably a small army of like these
Well, and there's
peaked in high school guys running around Sonoma County, right?
Well, this is the dark side of
Yeah.
McConaughey's character in Dazed and Confused.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and-
Like, that's the, hey, we're going to play this for laughs.
Mhm.
When the reality is he fucking rapes her in the
Yeah.
back of his car. And I read a
Right.
thing. Apparently, Laura Dern tried to convince herself for a long time while shooting the movie and after shooting the movie that's not what happened. And then she came around like, no, actually, that is what happened. I just
Has
I
anyone?
mean, I was
fairly ambiguous, in terms of like they do drive off. You don't.
Well, has anyone read the short?
It's all off camera. It all happens off camera.
No, what's the short say? I mean, it was a short story supposed to say.
So it's a Joyce Carol Oates story, and
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. She's very prolific and also just really gifted, I think, as a writer. So the short story, it's one of those cases where I think we all know, it's rare to get a film that's better than the novel or the story.
It depends on
It does happen, but I think it's a little rare.
Yep.
In this case, is no exception. I think the short story is much better. But in the short story, it ends before they even leave. It just ends when she like walks out of the house.
Oh wow!
And the story just ends. So
Mhm.
there's no like kind of epilogue, or they don't come back. He doesn't drop her off. She doesn't say,
Yeah.
"Please don't come around here again."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what he says to her,
Consequences.
but everything he says to her in front of that house is almost verbatim in the
Wow.
in the short.
Right.
But
I'm
anyway,
not surprised. I am not surprised.
Yeah.
I kind
I
of
mean,
got
both of these
this
movies-
was like the meat of the idea that the filmmaker wanted to do was this short story, and that was it.
Mhm.
I was shocked in the story structure that he shows up in the last 15 minutes of the movie. It's
Well,
the
he makes
end.
a quick appearance at Frank's though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
barely. And
Yeah.
he's top billed, and he's in the movie for like 10 fucking
Well, he was
minutes.
a much bigger
But
star than
he's-
she was.
but he, in my opinion, steals the entire. Like, I understand it's uncomfortable, but that performance. I thought
it's a lot.
everyone's so good in this. Laura Dern is good.
Yeah.
Mary Kay Place is very
the mom
good.
is really good. I thought the sister's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
But this is Treat's movie, I think. And when I saw this, because I had never seen this, I saw it like 2 years ago, and then I bought it on the Criterion when they released it on the Blu-ray, because I was like, even though it's a different context, he is just as cool and brooding as any performance by Brando or Dean that I've ever seen in this picture. I couldn't believe it. Yes, it's in the most fucked up context, but what he's doing as an actor, I had never seen Treat Williams do that. I knew Treat Williams from the 90s as that like supporting actor that would show up and like
70s. That's
Yeah.
what blew me away. Is like
To me, he'll always be the guy from Hair.
Yeah.
He'll be Burger from Hair.
the first time I think I ever saw him was in this movie called The Ritz from 1975 or 6 about a guy hiding from the mob in a gay bathhouse. And Treat Williams was his first roles. And so I'm like, the dude's flipping ageless, man, because this is like 10 years later.
Well, so he's probably pushing 30 in this film, and
something like that.
And she really is 15 years old.
I graduated, a couple of years ago? Is that what he says?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe a couple of years ago.
Sick. Well,
right on. I mean,
one thing I thought was really great in that scene, it's like the whole seduction thing was up, and then like I'm what's his name, friendly, and that's exactly why I am.
Arnold Friend. That's
Arnold
what
Friend,
I want to be.
That's who I am, and I always
Friend.
tell the truth. And he goes that kind of thing. He's doing the whole sweet talk thing, and this guy is listening to radio. Either they didn't loop it or the radio's off. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, that was
very odd.
Ellie.
Anyway, but the thing is, he would go,
which just makes it all the more creepy that there's this like mute,
dude,
older dude holding a ham radio. It's just creepy.
I did think the thing he said about him was like, he's crazy. He's just so crazy, and he hadn't done shit. He hadn't said a word or moved.
The thing is, she's being all sweet, and he turns around and just screams at him.
He's a big dope.
That's because he said, "Do you want me to rip the phone out?"
Yeah.
He's giving it away.
Right. And he's just like, so the tension and menace is just curled up in this, and it's surprising that she didn't like run away or anything like that.
In fact, one difference that they didn't do in this is in the short story, a couple of times when she's kind of thinking about calling the police and has the phone, a couple of times he mentions, you don't want your family to get hurt when they come back, do you?
Oh, he threatened to burn the house down.
Yeah, he does that here, but in the short story, he literally kind of threatens, like, we will essentially hurt your whole family if you don't come out.
I mean, he walks this weird line of like always being seductive, and even when he threatens to burn the house down, it's sort of in a poetic metaphor of like, the screen can't come between us, the wood can't come between us. You could burn this whole house down, and it's like he's threatening to burn her house down.
But see, that's what I love, John, is that yes, I understand that probably, Chris, or like, you're probably like, oh my God, this is horrible. But there's something about the way that he's doing it, how he speaks, the words he specifically chooses. It's almost like I can't describe it. It's like this. It's like this He's like a hypnotist. He's like a he's like a weird.
Both of these fucking movies contain male characters who epitomize the shit that will come out of a dude's mouth when he's trying to get laid.
Yeah,
this is
Cape Fear,
but for different, but very different characters, and we'll get to the other guy. But here is
Juliette Lewis and Robert De Niro and Cape Fear. That's like the cartoon version of this. But,
big time. Really.
Scott, I'm glad you brought that up, because if you hadn't, I would have. And I was going to say that to me made me so much more uncomfortable and scared than this movie did.
I think it's because of all the pushing that Cameron was doing.
But you've also seen what Max Cady is capable of by the time he gets.
That is also true. But this movie is all about her and delineating her character before this happens, whereas that movie is all about Max Cady and what he, like you said, what he's capable of.
Okay, and another major difference is this movie throws you off. You have no idea that this movie is going to go to here. Whereas in Cape Fear, I mean, you know what you're in for. You know who you're dealing with.
It's going to keep escalating further.
You see him in prison at the beginning with all the tattoos. Doing push-ups.
This movie, this is literally like a curveball out of or a ball out of left field.
It's like I said, it's a goddamn weird structure. It's very strange.
I have a theory about this film, and this is one of those that can take a few minutes to explain. But One of the things that you talked about Joyce Carol Oates' this short story. It
yeah,
ends.
Scott's theory.
It ends when they drive away. That's and
yes.
they don't. That's
yeah, that makes sense.
This one they come back and have a rather extended conversation, just like this, where they're both looking in different directions.
Mhm.
Says, "Don't want to see you ever again," and they both kind of part.
Yeah.
My theory is that this film has a sub-theme. The sub-theme is people's places in society. Laura Dern's character, she's 15. She wants to be like a fully realized
Well,
sexual
maybe
woman.
it's a crass term now, but they used to call them like boy crazy girls.
She was boy crazy, but
Yeah,
her mom had a thumb on her, and her sister had a different kind of thumb on her, and she had all these anticipations of what she wanted to do. And so that when it came to the Treat Williams coming around, it is an opportunity for her to kind of get away from it all. She kind of like saw opportunity to kind of do her own thing, to be her own person, be
Right.
self-actualized. But when they came back and they both kind of looked stunned, they're like, realize that they're trapped. He's always going to be this leering idiot in an old car, and she's going to be doing stuff like this forever. She's stuck in small town life, and it's like if they realize they're trapped like flies, in a jar. They can't get out of this. And I thought that despair, I thought, came through in the end of the film.
Scott, do you think it's like she did this somewhat willingly? I mean, he didn't actually physically coerce her, force her into the car.
We don't know what happened in the car.
No.
Well,
but she's trying for something. And he realized it's over, it didn't do it. That's the thing.
I think it's a class thing too. It's kind of like, I would go do this with you one time, but you can't come back here ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's also like
because I'm a nice girl. I have a nice family. I live in a nice house.
Not that nice. Look at the paint job in that place.
I mean,
that was driving us fucking bananas. It's like, finish the wallpaper. She's outside scraping the outside of the house. It's like, God damn it, pick a chore and finish it.
Finish it before you start the other thing.
I mean, obviously, both of these films, on some level, have a theme of also, like loss of innocence. But there's another thing going on. Yeah, but of course, there's another thing going on here where, I mean, possibly you could argue, and I don't think this is like how would I say this? It's not, I think, the point of it, but there's a little hint of like, watch out what you wish for, you just might get it going on in this picture.
Yes. I'm seconding that. I'm seconding that. That's what I'm talking about at the end of the film.
So wait, which of you guys, do any of you find the Treat Williams character sympathetic?
No.
But he's also trapped in a role. He can't help himself.
I don't think he's sympathetic, but I think I can't explain why looking at it as a film, as a piece of art, as a story, not if this was a real world and I'm like, it's a real story.
Judging these people for their decisions, right?
Sure. I am attracted to Treat Williams' performance here, just as an artist, like I'm so blown away by this character and what he's doing with it, and I find that really, really fascinating. But of course, no, he's not sympathetic. I mean, he's a monster. He's just this
sexual predator.
He's this.
Okay.
No, he's totally evil. But I also think that, and I think maybe you get this a little more in the short story, but I think he doesn't. I don't think this is. None of this is real, right? I think he's like an allegory for, for sin, for temptation. Exactly. This is like a bigger kind of story about.
I think he's a fairly vivid, outsized portrayal of the kind of guy that a lot of us probably saw growing up. Like one of the things I think this movie nails, particularly because I think I graduated, like the class of '85. That's my wife's graduating class. I mean, like we knew these people. We lived in these towns.
Oh, this is class of '87,
and I felt like its sense of place and the level of authenticity in the performance. Like I was really blown away watching Laura Dern again. Like, holy shit, you were so flipping good in this. It's no wonder you went on to be Laura friggin' Dern.
Yeah, right.
But I think because it's so well drawn out, that's the thing that makes, if it had been more cartoony, maybe it would have made me less uncomfortable. But like I said, by the time we get to by the time he shows up, I'm like, oh fuck, that's right, I remember this part.
Yeah,
like doing this.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Like, because where Cape Fear is sort of it's a very
It's a horror movie.
it's a fun movie, but yeah, it's a little boogeyman movie.
Also,
where this
you can fault Juliette Lewis for actually not being a particularly smart or a resourceful person in that film either.
No,
right.
Laura Dern in this movie seems like to have a head on her shoulders.
Yeah,
she does.
Well, she's going. You can actually see the wheels turning in her head. The second half of the film
all the time.
She gets to the point of picking up the phone, but she won't dial for help.
Right. I mean, it's complex stuff. It's great short story material.
And he's talking to her through the screen door, and even when he opens the screen door, he hasn't actually set foot inside the house. So it's like
he's just in the doorway.
He knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's such a fascinating character. You know, evil is all hell, but like you said, John, he's kind of riding this line. He's kind of like
absolutely.
He kind of
plausible
knows
deniability the entire
You guys
time.
have all seen Kids, right?
Oh yeah, God.
That the horrible main guy in that movie. It's the same shit. Just the fucking. I'm just gonna work on you and work on you and work on you until I get what I want
and wear you down.
And he's also trying to
he's actually more like the guy in the next movie, I think, a little bit. But yeah,
well,
yeah.
But I mean,
but he's also trying to
what guys will do to try to.
But Arnold is also trying to just basically get her consent. So he isn't trying to. He isn't grabbing her and throwing her in the car.
He's like the vampire trying to get you to open the window.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, he is.
This movie wearing her down, and making appeals. He's
and
but he also tries to make it sound fun. It's like it's back and forth.
But immediately this is all he does. That's why he has the car. Yeah. That's why he dresses like that. His buddy with the radio.
His second, basically.
This is his modus operandi, and I was wondering if anybody, because I read the story again, and it's really great. I recommend it if you guys want to read it. But what are the numbers? What do you guys think the numbers mean on the car?
I don't know. Is it a Bible verse or something?
33, 19, and 17.
Lottery numbers?
Yeah, they're the tail of the car.
Yeah, they're at the end of the car, and he points them out.
I wouldn't even hazard a guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about it, and I was like, are those like his conquests? Yeah,
are they like ages of the women?
The ages, like his.
I mean, he's only been laid 3 times. There's the same.
No, you're not putting that. That's it. That's what it is. You're not putting that in your car, man.
Yeah,
he's got room for more numbers. So
flash forward, there was like a 15 at the end.
Or maybe it's
got it. So,
but who? I mean, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that.
Did this woman go on to make any other movies? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think she did. I can't. I don't know them off the top of my head. But also both of these movies obviously were written by women and then directed by women.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, the movies we've brought up so far to compare to this is Matthew McConaughey's character in Dazed and Confused, right? And we've brought up Cape Fear. But the other
and Dracula.
Dracula. The other specifically Laura Dern
I would literally bring up. I'm sorry. I would literally bring up.
Let me finish the thought.
Go ahead.
The other Laura Dern specifically seduction that I'm thinking of is Bobby Peru, Willem Dafoe in Wild at Heart.
Oh, okay.
She standing inside that screen door, listening to what he was saying. I just flashed on Bobby Peru.
You're not wrong.
Fuck. Now there's a scene where someone just uses words.
Right.
To totally.
And then there's a punchline at the end.
Oh my God.
I gotta go.
It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
That movie is. I mean, people always talk about like all of David Lynch's other movies. That one rarely comes up.
No, yeah.
Although,
it should.
But that movie gets so much better when Willem Dafoe shows up.
Yeah,
she's almost the same character this one in Blue Velvet, though. That's one thing interesting. She's a little more.
Yes, she is.
And the one in Blue Velvet's a little more wholesome because she has a kind of symbolic value, but she's still.
Well, she's good at that character.
They came out.
This character is kind of a cross between her. This is a cross between her character in Wild at Heart and Blue Velvet.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But I just like the film. We haven't told you. Actually, it looks really good. Again,
it's really pretty.
I'm by it. Like again, the rubbernecking on Sonoma County was really fun to do. Again, like just oh shit, that's right. It was filmed here.
I'm surprised you didn't see more. Actually, it's a lot of medium shots in this film. I'm surprised you didn't see more because it's like
I know where that is. I know where that is.
Does anyone?
Yes, when the second it goes into the house.
What got?
I'm reminded. Oh yeah, this is kind of a horror.
Snuck into your house.
Yeah.
And I can't. His performance is a little much, but I think the margin, like it's good, and the movie is good. It just makes me squirm a lot.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I was trying to decide throughout whether the movie was quote unquote good or not because there's so many scenes of the teenagers hanging out and being teenagers and running around the mall and at the drive-in or whatever and I'm like, man, this dialogue's really bad.
Right.
But
Seemed authentic to me, but
but yeah, is it just authentically bad? Like the kids do say vacuous, vapid,
oh, they
stupid
do.
things.
Oh, wait,
I fucking
girls that
did.
age, they're just right.
Yeah, they're not gonna spout out you know.
No, I mean this is
All
my
the guys,
beautifully
like I had
constructed
lizard brain
sentences.
until I was 27, man.
yeah, yeah. Laura Dern's this character in Laura Dern, she's my sister's age exactly.
Well, I
sister
agree
was a
with you,
sophomore in
John.
most of the time when Karen and her friends were over, it was like I was like
Just my
wanting to
wife.
strangle all of them.
Right.
Well, I agree with you, John, because I actually thought, oh, I didn't really. The first time I saw this, I didn't like the film until Treat showed up.
I can understand why.
I was like, this is just like an average or to below average sort of like the production is good, the acting is good, but I was like, the film itself wasn't captivating to me.
Yeah, and there's a scene where her mom says to her, "It's like your head's full of nothing but trashy dreams," and I was just like,
Yeah,
this movie sucks.
But I did like the Sonoma County, of course, that's a huge draw. But when Treat showed up, I said, oh, now the movie is starting, and I think this is a great film.
It's the last 15 minutes of the film.
You made a point that maybe there's a little too much setup in this film. Maybe like
I think there is.
Well, here, right? Because you don't need more than a half hour of Treat Williams.
It is a half hour. He shows up. He shows up
you
the
got
last
an
half
hour
hour
leading up to that.
So maybe it should be a short film.
Well, here's the thing, though. The short story, the whole thing is Treat.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
There's
that's all prologue.
All this stuff. Listen, Joyce Carol Oates does describe the girls and where they go and what they do, but she does it, throughout the. You don't have this whole, oh, here's her life before this creepy dude shows up.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like it takes a couple of pages describing her life,
to sketch her life, right,
and then right into this guy drives up with this other guy in a car, and that's the story,
Yeah, and I feel that. I feel that in this they had to take that couple of pages of the before Treat Williams character shows up and stretch that into the bulk of the movie. Because Treat Williams could not come in at that hot. It's like he couldn't build that level of menace and maintain it. It's like he had to show up at the house.
It also could be a drop thing where you actually getting kind of complacent and almost sleepy seeing her.
But let me defend the first hour.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll defend the first hour, and that I think the movie does a pretty. If what you're saying is true, Jared, and like basically the screenwriter and director of this movie had to fill out a lot. I think they did a pretty good job fleshing out where her head is at and why she would even be talking to this guy in the first place.
I think so too, like a teenager's life, a teenager's life. But I also think, which we mentioned earlier before, the way that they went about doing it really did throw you off from where it was going, which is also sort of a strength. So, you can argue that that they really it takes this turn that you don't expect.
Right.
Which
he is only in
turn more
he is
impactful.
only in that one scene where he's at the drive-in and he says, "Hey, I'm watching you," and it's just like, ew. Ick. Speaking of ick, James Taylor, thanks for
Oh, we haven't even talked about the fucking music in this movie.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
What the fuck?
Well,
I always thought Handyman was an icky song. Come hum.
And then I read the lyrics after this and I was like, oh yeah, that works.
If you've got money, you can do the Fast Times at Ridgemont High soundtrack, which was very contemporary of its time and still works. Obviously, they didn't, or somebody somewhere was like, you know what will really get kids' butts in seats? James Taylor.
Well,
but it's true.
Although,
it puts that song in a different context. It makes it creepy, dude.
Also, one thing I loved though was that she puts on James Taylor and she's so into it, and then it cuts to her mom, Mary Kay Place, in the other room singing along, and she's super into it, and I just love that because that's so unexpected. Because it's always like, oh, teenagers, they hate everything their parents like, and et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of great.
It was nice.
It was an odd choice.
Yeah, it was
an odd choice.
It wasn't a big cultural divide in '85, I don't think. But, kids could still dig James Taylor and Led Zeppelin and shit like that, even though it was a generation before. It's like, I know. Well, it's a thought.
I was there. No, you didn't.
Well, yeah,
you guys
you,
were all
that's
there.
you, man.
I was there. I was just like
You're into
fucking 4.
abstraction.
I always liked Led Zeppelin, but that's not James Taylor. I never
I
liked
like
James
Taylor.
Taylor.
My parents would put it on, but by the time I was her age, I was listening only to the shit I wanted to listen to.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Perry Como here, for God's sake.
Well,
So anyway, I guess anything else?
no, I mean,
Jim has no
I
corner
had
here,
seen it
so-
a really, really, really long time.
Yes,
And-
I've never.
Oh,
think
I
I've
had a
seen all the way
question
through.
though.
No, by all means.
The place, I forget what they call it, but the place that's right behind Chris, the place that they go for burgers and all the kind of
Frank's.
pickup.
Yo,
Frank's.
What is that?
Where is that?
I couldn't. That's the
I bet
thing
you
I
a
couldn't
different name
figure
they
out.
I bet you they put that sign up over an existing thing.
I think
I
yeah,
agree.
Probably somewhere
I agree with that, but did
Theater.
anyone recognize the location?
It looks like it's out by like Russian River or something.
That's what I thought.
I
too.
thought so
Or
too.
something
Like
that, yeah.
maybe like Fountain Grove or Guerneville.
Something, yeah, somewhere
like-
I actually argue probably closer to Guerneville, but
Like
yeah,
out
that
on
was-
River
I was
Road
like,
somewhere.
Oh man, there was a drive-in like that called the Hi-Fi over in Guerneville.
Yeah.
No, it was up in Cloverdale.
Seems like that's a place I
in
would
Cloverdale,
have.
and, like, that was like
Oh, I know the
remember
place
there was,
in
like, I
Cloverdale.
just-
Yeah.
a time machine back to the 50s, like Marty McFly. It was like there's
Yeah.
car hops and milkshakes and high school kids.
I was
hanging out.
trying
Like,
to,
it was
like,
so
what was-
weird.
John, you were there. Like, what was the actual place that we would have gone to in Santa Rosa in 1985?
I was going to say the Dragon Pit, but that's in Sonoma.
Probably went to-
That's
you probably went to-
That's where we would have been in 1979.
The Taco Bell next to Santa Rosa JC, where I spent a lot of time. But no, I
Yeah,
was
but
like,
wasn't that an Arctic Circle back then?
no, I mean, I was always that was always.
Did you have a
Taco Bell.
Foster's out there?
What's that?
Foster's Freeze? Did you have one?
There's 2 of those.
There
Here.
There's one.
Oh, that's
there's
great.
2 in Santa Rosa.
That's fantastic. That's
Yeah, one. Yeah, I think there's one still there.
Oh,
There
wow.
are still two in Santa Rosa. There's one on 4th Street and one out on Sebastopol Road.
No, yeah, I mean, like I said, this movie makes my skin crawl, but I would still give it a qualified
All right.
good movie.
Mhm.
Just fucking gross.
It was kind of. I'm gonna go up there because it's like
I'm
it
here.
felt in tone. It was really good, but
It's
I know
treats.
I'll never
almost
watch
there,
it again.
Almost there.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
I can't get enough of
Yeah.
Treat in this performance. I like
Yes,
creepy
and
shit.
This is number one. Of
I know he's evil. I don't agree with it. I just like the performance and
Why
yeah.
women
like-
choose the bear, part 1.